Hello, everyone. Welcome to the College Theater Auditions Q&A hosted by The Growing Studio and Playbill. For all the latest and greatest updates, please follow us at Playbill and at The Growing Studio. I'm Johnny, your host, and I'm so excited to be introducing these two amazing college programs, Shenandoah and Western Connecticut State University. How are you guys doing today? Are you there?
Hello.
Hello.
Nice
we
to
have
see
Mr.
you.
Kevin from Shenandoah and Tim Howard from Western Connecticut State. How are you guys doing?
Excellent.
So far, so good.
That's amazing. Where are you guys quarantining?
I'm in Virginia. I'm in my apartment right now.
So I'm actually in my co-op in Jackson Heights, Queens, New York. It's been challenging. We when we shut down in March, that was the epicenter, but we've done excellent. We're moving forward, and New York is doing great. So
awesome. What are you guys doing to keep busy during this time?
Well, normally one of the sort of nice things about being a college professor is you sort of have your summer to. Sometimes I go off and direct, or I teach at a summer intensive at my alma mater, but I really don't feel like I've had a day off since March, the middle of March. It's been a lot of trying to figure out what the fall is going to look like and what the future looks like.
Of course.
Yeah, I can kind of ditto that as well. I usually go off and direct as well in the summer or act, and it's been about figuring out what this was going to be for the fall. I think we have got some good opportunities for the students, and we've kind of created a new works series that perhaps we'll talk a little bit about later. But in place of because we're very performance oriented, so we usually do 6 main stage shows. So we're doing a new work series instead. So there's been a lot of reading new scripts and interviewing guest directors and playwrights. So yes, I would ditto that. It's the summer has kind of gotten away, but yeah, so there's not a problem with enough stuff to do.
Right.
Well, with that, let's get started. I always like to ask this question because it's the most important thing that's happening right now. How are you guys as professors and a university supporting Black students through the Black Lives Matter movement and making sure that there's an equal opportunity for all BIPOC students of color and actors?
Do you want to go first?
Sure. Actually, that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked. We have part of that mission for me with the BFA musical theater has always been to diversify. And so we want to make sure that but we have the faculty to also be those people that the students can look to. And with the Black Lives Matter, we as a faculty created this new work series. And the new work series mission is to amplify the voices of marginalized and underrepresented playwrights and composers. So that is a huge commitment for us that we're very excited about. The 5 works that we're doing that will be kind of filmed, streamed in a film, like a film festival in November. So we'll be working on those all semester. It creates a lot more work because we're going to be rehearsing, and then it's another 5 weeks of editing and all of that. But I think we're going to bring the composers and playwrights in and to work directly with the students. And we've brought in, additional persons of color. My show is 3 women. Yes. So Black Lives Matter is very important. We've added extra classes in. We have a new Black theater history class that we've added in.
Wow.
A guest director, woman of color that just was the AD for the Met's production of Porgy and Bess, and also was Des McAnuff's assistant for Ain't Too Proud. And so, yeah, we are. It's very much a commitment for us, and we're continuing to work on it.
Awesome.
So that's what we're doing.
That's incredible, Tim. It's a very, very important here at Shenandoah as well. Our university has been doing wonderful, wonderful things. We have sort of adjusted our season a little bit. we're doing a new play called In the Cauthen, and it will be directed by Portia. And Portia is a member of the Labyrinth Theater Company in New York City. So we're very excited about that. On the musical theater side, we're starting 2 initiatives that I'm very excited about. One is the Musical Theater Student Diversity Recruitment Group. And we've targeted 10 schools in the tri-state area in Virginia, Maryland, and DC, students that have large, diverse populations. And our students will go to these schools and sort of help the students that may not know how to do a pre-screen, may not know how to build a resume or take a headshot, students that might not have had the opportunity to audition for musical theater programs. So we're very excited about that. This year, it'll probably look a little different in the fact that I think they'll be sending a series of videos to the high schools, not actually traveling in person. But in the future, we hope to get them there in person. And then we're also starting a mentorship program for our grads, people, Black and BIPOC graduates who are interested in higher education, interested in secondary education, that can come here and sort of monitor, not monitor us, what's the word I'm looking for? Follow us around in class. Shadow us. For a few weeks, we'll put them up sort of so they can learn what it's like to sort of be a college professor, and then we'll help guide them to either master's programs or to universities where it's not necessary to have a master's, that they might accept you with your bachelor's degree. So we're excited about those 2 initiatives specifically.
That's really awesome.
Thanks.
Fantastic. Our first question from a viewer is from Will Lee, and he's from North Carolina, and he wants to know, how many students do you take per year in your acting and musical theater program?
At Shenandoah, we aim, it's always like you aim for, we aim for 18 musical theater incoming students and 16 acting students. I've yet to figure out the formula to get to that exact number, so we normally land on somewhere between 20 and 24 MTs.
Yeah, so it's similar. We're also accredited, so you do have to limit those numbers. So yes, it is for the BFA musical theater. We shoot for 16 because that's the magic number with accredited to not have any more than 16 in your performance class. So we've chosen to keep that program small. So we have about 60 plus. Over the 4 years for musical theater. For the performance major, which is a BA, and that's the acting equivalent, we don't have a number specifically that we accept because that's not by audition. We have something called a sophomore promotion so we want to give opportunities for students that maybe didn't have a lot of training prior, so that they can come in, be accepted. They figure out whether it's the right fit for them sometimes or not. And then we have sophomore promotion at the end of the sophomore year where they have to pass that barrier. And it doesn't mean they're kicked out of the department. It just means that we may choose to suggest that they go to design tech or to theater studies, but there's not a specific number for the BA performance, just for the musical theater.
Awesome. So both of you guys have BFA programs in the school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have BFA acting, BFA music theater, and then we have 5 BFAs in technical theater.
Wow.
And our freshman acting and music theater majors take acting together. It's a Meisner sequence taught by Scott Hudson. And like Tim, we try to keep our class sizes small. So there are normally 3 sections of each class so that the class sizes remain small.
Nice. Our next question is from Janice Vander from Florida, and she wants to know, what are you, this is a question that everybody wants to know, by the way. What is your institution doing to promote the safety of its students for the return of live classes?
Well, we are in Welcome Week here at Shenandoah. Every year at Shenandoah, the week before classes start, it's called Welcome Week. It's normally when students come back to campus to take challenge exams, if you want to clap out of theory or piano, or and we have our fall auditions that week. This year, all students were required to be here by Wednesday, and everyone was tested, COVID tested, and those were shipped on a rush down to Roanoke, and everyone is in quarantine awaiting those results. We do have a special, the university leased an entire hotel for the year. It's going to be a quarantine dorm. If someone does test positive, they will go into that dorm until they get a negative test, and food will be brought to them, and they will be able to participate in class if they're feeling well via kind of what we're doing right now. So they're monitoring it very closely. We created an app that you have to fill out every day that you put in, your temperature and everything, and then you get a green pass to show up on campus with. And our classes we're calling it Shenflex instead of HighFlex. Some classes, smaller classes, are in person, socially distanced. Some are half online, half in person, and then others, sort of gen ed classes, are pretty much online.
It's complicated, right?
Yeah.
That made me exhausted just listening.
Right.
Yeah.
I never felt more grateful that I graduated school last year.
Yeah, no kidding. Well, we're in a different geographical location, so it's a little bit more challenging, probably for us at this point. However, the numbers in Connecticut are quite good. Certainly for the BFA Music Theater, we have people from Washington, Texas, Ohio, from across the country. So all of those students were required to, if they were coming in from a red state or a hot state in terms of that, then they were required to come 2 weeks early to quarantine prior to classes. Our first class is this coming Wednesday. And but most of the students are already there if they're living on campus. We're in a hybrid form this semester, which means that there's some in person, there's some remote, and there's some that are a hybrid, which will be a combination. We have this fabulous new $98 million facility. This is a newer program. In fact, the Department of Theater has been around for several decades, but the BFA this will be the 5th year that it's been fully accredited and so forth. And so where was I going with that? The BFA, let's see.
Your precautions.
Safety. Oh, yeah, the precautions. Yes, that was it. The precautions are different for every single class. So I know where I was going with it. The theater is a huge theater. It has incredible fly system, huge depth in the space. So the dance classes will take place because we can socially distance and those students can still have masks. The music theater workshop can take place in there. Students will be out in the house, up in the balcony. Then the students would come up on the stage, and we have designated areas so that there's time in between each student, either house right or house left or in the center stage, so that we're not endangering the student that way. And so we're working through each class individually to find the best system. But yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. And then there's all of this kind of all the mandates come down from the University of all of Connecticut. So we have to make it work within those regulations.
Awesome. Our next question is still pertaining to COVID. It's from Olivia Bush on YouTube, and she wants to know, will your auditions for the upcoming school year, I guess that's 2021 to 2022, will they be virtual due to COVID?
Well, I'll go. So right now, if you go to our musical theater page or our university theater department page, you'll see everything all the requirements for the audition. But right now we're part of the pre-screen app. And so we're continuing to do pre-screen. And so prospective students will submit their pre-screen. From that place, we will reassess in a couple months to decide whether it would be safe to be able to invite the students that we're most interested in to do an on-campus audition, or whether that would be a live Zoom audition/interview to see, because just like Kevin, we only accept 16. So we want to make sure that we have the right mix of personality as well as talent and diversity.
Right. Yeah. They have to be part of your family, right?
It is a family. Yeah.
Something very similar to what Tim's doing. We are also part of the common pre-screen. So we will be doing pre-screens as normal. Every year we go to Moonifieds in Dallas, and we go to Cap United in Atlanta. Those have both moved virtually. We will be doing those virtually. Unifieds just announced they will also be virtual. We normally only go to New York City. So for those unified dates, we will be virtual as well. And like Tim, we're going to reassess probably in the middle to end of October to decide what we're going to do about our on-campus dates. So
that's awesome.
And we also, I didn't mention that we are doing the CAP Unified virtual auditions as well. And
they're terrific. They're terrific. You'll love them.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. And to be determined. We usually go to Unified, but we're waiting on that to see how that's all going to come down as well. But we'll keep the website updated on that.
Of course. Well, I have some special guests for one of you, but I'm not going to say who it is because I like surprises. So, well, my two guests, are you there?
Yes.
Ah! Hi, ladies.
Hi.
Garrett,
How are you
these glasses.
I love your glasses too, Garrett.
Thank you. Here I am. I like to hide.
Would you guys like to introduce yourselves? And obviously, we know what school you've gone to now.
Kathy and I went to school together at Shenandoah. I'm Garrett Long, and I'm an actor, mother.
I'm Kathy Voytko. I wanted to be Garrett when I went to school because she was a fancy senior when I came into school, and I wanted to be her. And I also went to Shenandoah. I went to Shenandoah too.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you guys quarantining currently right now?
I'm up in Rhinebeck, New York.
And I'm in glamorous New Jersey.
Ooh, I'm in Jersey too. Glamour.
I like to think of New Jersey as the glamour state.
It's the glamour state. Just erase the Arden and then write glamour and then got it.
I will.
We're actually in my future Airbnb bungalow. So
nice.
It's a mess right now. It will be beautiful, and then you can come in.
Love that. We'll post the Airbnb link below.
Nice.
Can you guys just one at a time tell me about your experience at Shenandoah? What were your favorite things to do? Why don't we start? We'll get a little bit more specific. Why don't we start about like the education itself? So like your classes, teachers, professors, and the type of learning that your school has.
Can I go first, Kathy?
I wish you would.
Because I was thinking about this. It just popped in my head as I was watching you all talk. And thinking about, I think the best thing that Shenandoah did for me, particularly right now, because we were also talking about it as a bunch of us actor types were talking about, how we know how to roll with the punches. We have been taught survival mode. And I think that actors and artists are very lucky during this time. But the one thing about Shenandoah that I got from it was a very healthy, a strong head on my shoulders for work ethic, for being ready for how hard it is, because it was hard in school. When Cauthen and I went there, it was a tiny school. We kind of had to be in everything. So sometimes we'd be rehearsing 3 different things at once, directing projects, one-person shows, main stage, children's theater, depending what it was. But Kathy, I mean, sometimes we'd be in 2 student-directed plays and be in the main stage show. And our generation worked our butts off. We were up at 2 in the morning sometimes rehearsing.
It's still the same, Garrett.
Yeah. So I think that's good because it's not easy what we do, and being in a Winchester's small, where Shenandoah is. It's a small, sweet town, and you're sort of like comforted by that and feel safe. And then I think they prepare you very well for what this business really is, which is, I say the working actor is when you're not working. That's when we're working hardest. And Shenandoah prepares you to be a working actor, to get out, keep up on your lessons and continue your education and pound the pavement and work your connections in a very sweet, kind, respectful way.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But because at the time, it was one of the very few, there were only 2 or 3 other colleges at the time that had a Bachelor of Fine Art in music theater. It was either a theater major or a music major, and they weren't meshed yet. And there was something about seeing that program at Shenandoah, even though it was 18 plus credits a semester, which, like Garrett said, was an overwhelming amount of work. But I'm so glad, because that taught you right then and there, if it's for you, get out, because this is hard. Have to work all the time. So not only did we learn the work ethic, but we also learned the music, not just Golden Age music, but we learned contemporary shows. And I know now they have a fabulous pop segment that they must learn. And so it's great, because I truly didn't know how much I didn't know until I got to Shenandoah. And I said, well, I've got a lot of catching up to do. And they did a great job. We joked about it a lot. We had to take a lot of sight singing at Shenandoah. And we were like, oh, crap, man, I'm always going to be able to plunk this, right? I mean, it's not like I'm going to have to sight sing in front of Sondheim and then sight sing Sondheim. So, you know what I mean? I didn't know how valuable that was going to be until you are actually put in front of somebody who wrote this music and wants to hear if you can sing what they wrote, not what you think. So Shenandoah was great because it was so well-rounded and such a marathon, not a sprint. It was a marathon.
And I just want to add where the program has gone. I know that I would like to go back to Shenandoah right now because of what they offer with on camera and the pop rock coaching that happens, which is so valuable. But then also paying attention to classic music theater, which a lot of programs, as I've worked as a reader, a lot of the young actors coming in don't understand classical music theater, and therefore the casting directors have a hard time casting a 20-something Sarah Brown in Guys and Dolls, say.
Yeah. Can you guys tell me about, obviously the two of you seem to still be connected. Can you tell me about the friends that you make at Shenandoah and the people that you get to meet?
Kevin's laughing because he was sort of an honorary Shenandoah grad because he grew up in Winchester and grew up, getting to know us and watching us. Because it was a small school, right, Kathy? We just stayed in touch, and because there was a summer theater.
It wasn't like, oh, you're the soprano and oh, you're the dancer. Everybody had to do everything because of the small school, which meant we often had to give each other a leg up and help each other, which I think built lifelong friendships. Like even some of our friends who decided to either go into music therapy, and some of our friends decided to go lead a program somewhere else. We're still all connected.
True. And the summer theater let us meet the generations that came after us.
Right.
So I actually am very close to like the class of, I think it's 2009 or something. Which is fun. I have a lot of friends in that class because I went back. No, it was 2003. So yeah. And there's just something about the Winchester experience too. Being in the country-ish.
Johnny, I think family is very important. We talked a little bit about it a few minutes ago. It's sort of like, and when I came to Shenandoah, this is my 5th year here, one of the things I wanted to do was to start reaching out to these incredible alum and to let our students know that they have a friend when they get out of here and get to New York. And our alum have been unbelievable about being responsive and helpful. So thank you, ladies.
And we're so glad that we're being asked now, because that really wasn't the case in some of the years past.
Yeah.
I remember when they did Spitfire Grill at Shenandoah, which I spent 3 years working on. I wrote and I said I would love to come down. I could spend a week. I'd love to share backstories. I'd just love to be there. And they never had me. So having Kevin there now, who understands how important that is, to have those big brothers and sisters in the city when you arrive is terribly important, because we are, Kathy and I, and a huge bunch of us are there for our younger brothers and sisters.
And a lot of us grew up in small towns, and we understand what it's like to go to New York and be like, what on earth?
Amazing.
My final question for the two of you, either or first, and I love to ask questions because it's really hard. If you had to go back and tell your 17/18-year-old self why you should pick Shenandoah, tell me what you would say to yourself.
Go ahead, Kathy.
I think I would say to myself, well done. Was exactly the right place for you. And all those hours you spend in the music library watching old videotapes is going to come back to you in spades when you have to audition for a random show that you never thought in a million years anyone would ever be doing again. Also, hours in the practice room you spent doing legit music that you couldn't have cared less about in school. You're going to spend 3 years of your life singing fantasy opera as well. All I wanted to do was belt. I think that I would say thank you and well done. Good choice, lady.
I like that answer. Am I supposed to answer? I just like the safety of it all. That was very important to me. I still am shy, and so having a safe haven, and it's different from when we were there. Social media wasn't a thing, so we could really just work on our craft. I think that's important. Social media is important today, but I think when you're in school, it would be great if you could just focus on the craft. But no, I'm very happy. I'm also happy I was there for the fun that we had. We had a huge hill we could go sledding on, and we did on the cafeteria days. And just the fun. There's a lot of fun stuff to do, and those experiences are so important for being an actor. You've got to have a broad range of experiences, and we did.
Yeah.
Outside of theater.
Aw. Thank you so much for coming on and joining us today. It was a pleasure. I hope you guys are staying safe, and I hope to see you two on stage sometime soon. I'm very excited about it.
Our next is supposed to be together, and we have our fingers crossed.
We do.
They can't announce it yet, but it is exciting.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it, but we are crossing our fingers because Elise and Garrett and I have never worked together.
Nope.
Since
it was terribly exciting.
Well, I hope that surprise gets to come to fruition. And let me tell you, I'll be the first to email the both of you and be like, it happened.
Yeah, me too.
Have a good one, you guys. Thank you so much.
Love you guys. Thank you.
Love you. Bye-bye.
That was exciting.
Oh, they're awesome. They're so great. And they've both had amazing careers. And, it's just sort of nice to see them willing to give back, so it's really refreshing. So
that's awesome. Well, Tim, I have some guests for you that would like to come on and speak. Hi, Ethan. How are you?
Hi.
Oh my gosh.
How are you guys doing today?
Good.
So good.
It's great to be here.
Where are you guys quarantined?
I'm in Middletown.
I am in Queens, New York. I'm in my house.
Awesome. And have you guys been there the whole time?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Okay, so my first question for the two of you is just tell me about your time at Western Connecticut I know that you're right? So you can give us that perspective, which is amazing. So Sasha, tell me about your time in school at Western Connecticut.
Oh my gosh, my time at school, I really loved being at WestCon. Well, I have sort of a different story. I came in as a transfer student. So what I did was before I came to WestCon, I sort of got all my gen eds out the way. So I was really able to hone in on musical theater and theater, just being an artist. And so WestCon really provided me with that. And I'm so glad I actually took that path.
Awesome. Ethan.
Yeah, so I am still a current student. I'm going to be a sophomore in like a week. So, but my first year at WestCon was definitely everything I wanted out of my college experience and more. I think that I got so many opportunities in my first year that I just wouldn't expect to have gotten. Like, for example, at Western, you're required to audition for every main stage season, except for your last one as a senior. So after about a month and a half of school, I was already in my first main stage production. We had people from the A1 conference come in and audition us for summer stock. And because of that, this summer I was able to work. And I love that I was constantly like on the grind, preparing material, constantly like honing my craft. There was never really a break, which I think was a good thing. And I'm just excited to get back again.
Awesome. Ethan, can you tell me a little bit about your transition from high school into your freshman year and how going to school at Western Con helped you flow through your transition?
Yeah, absolutely. So a little bit about me. I went to a performing arts high school in New York City. So I did the traditional like college audition path. So I would say transitioning from a school where there's 3,000 kids and like one or two big productions every year to in the grand scheme of things like a much smaller theater program, but doing like 3 main stage productions a year, that was definitely a transition. I will say that because our program is so small, that I got a lot of individual focus that I definitely didn't get in high school. And I think like my work ethic definitely improved a lot just because there was so much more attention on me. But it only happened in a good way. Like I only improved my work ethic, and I think I've only become a better auditioner and a better performer because of it.
That's awesome. Can the two of you talk about your classes and student life at the school and what you guys got to do for fun? Anything you want.
Well, at WestCon, I think you really become like a well-rounded actor because we're required to take theater classes that are not our theater majors. So me being a musical theater major, we were required to take classes like costuming or box office or scenic design or props and audio and sound and lighting. And what really shocked me about that was it's a really humbling experience. It really makes you see things from a different perspective of how a show is built from the ground up. It truly is a humbling experience. It makes you realize that it's not about just being on stage and seeing people. It's about how each element helps bring that show together. And as far as like student life, I love how the campus is set up because the theater, everything theater is on one of the campuses. So if you ever want to get away or anything, that mini vacation from like that little sort of family that we have, you could just go right onto the other campus, and that campus is filled with restaurants and things to do. And we usually go to like this ice skating rink when it starts to get cold out and stuff. And it's a really great time. I actually miss it a lot.
We miss you.
Yeah, I miss you. Yeah, no, I totally agree with Sasha. And to add on to that, I think that because we're required to take classes that aren't necessarily musical theater based, you're allowed to be so much more well-rounded. And if that's something that you find yourself to be particularly interested in, there's always opportunities for you to engage in that. So if you're someone who just wants to hone your focus on musical theater, that's absolutely something you can do. And if you're more interested in design and technical theater, but you're also a musical theater major, you're provided opportunities to strike sets, work the soundboard. We are allowed to be dramaturgs. There's so many positions open for anyone who wants them. And if you're satisfied with just being like the average BFA musical theater major, you can just also do that. And I think that's really awesome.
That's amazing. So my final question for the two of you is, I guess for you, Ethan, it's very close because it was about a year ago. But what, if you could go back and tell yourself as a 17 or 18-year-old, however old you were, why you should go to WestCon, what would you say to yourself?
Well, for me, nothing's really changed. I mean, like going into the audition process, I only auditioned for schools with really, really tiny programs because I wanted to be the focus of like attention. I think it's super important when you're like a young actor, especially someone like me, who I didn't feel like had much experience, that you get as much like attention as possible. And I think that's absolutely what I got. On top of that, just the amount of opportunities I got, the kind of connections that I made they were really amazing. And I think it's kind of really crazy how well connected our faculty is. Most of our faculty is actually made up of adjunct professors who are still working professionally. And I think that's crazy. So making connections and being the primary focus of all my professors, that's everything. And that's what I'm getting. So yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, I would really say yes, good choice, because WestCon really gave me that confidence that you need as an artist. It is so important to walk into that audition room because auditioning is 90% of your career. You're always going to be auditioning. Your work never really stops. So thank you, Sasha, for going to WestCon because it really provided you with becoming that confident actor. And I really think I really got those audition skills. And there was always teachers there to help you. They're on your side. They're in your court. They want to see you succeed and grow. So there was always teachers there that I could ask for help on anything that I needed. And I really did get what I needed from WestCon.
That's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us. I wish you the best in your careers. Ethan, I wish you the best going to school in a week.
Thank you.
And I'm just so glad that you guys were able to join us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Much.
Both.
What great kids.
I know, so awesome. I loved having Ethan on a perspective of someone who's actually still right in school and able to answer those questions about what's happening now.
Yeah, I thought that might be an interesting perspective for some of the prospective students listening right now.
Yeah.
So.
All right, let's continue. We just got this question from YouTube. I think this is someone's monogram because it's just initials. But they want to know, knowing not that everyone will make it to Broadway or Hollywood, how do you prepare students for a sustainable career?
Well, I'll jump in on that. I mean, I think that is correct. And I think you heard the students talk about it. And I think that is one of our strengths is that it is, we're training them to be, that this is going to be their career as a music theater or a theater actor, artist. But we're also training them so that they have huge amounts of experience in costuming, in sets. So I tell people, it's like, you may end up, as an agent, you may end up as a writer, you may end up as a casting director or a costume designer or any of those things. And that full range of education with theater, I think, provides them options. And it doesn't mean that we take the onus off of what that training is that we're providing, but I know for myself, I didn't transition into academia until about 10 years ago. And because I had various skills that allowed me to continue to work. And so I try to instill that with my students, is that, the more you can do, the more you can work. So.
Absolutely. I think one of the cool things about Shenandoah is that you don't pay by credit hour. You pay a flat tuition, and it entitles you to take up to 18 and a half credits a semester. About 15 of those credits are going to be working towards your degree in musical theater, but you do have these extra credits to sort of play around with. So a lot of our students minor in something, or use those skills, those credits to take extra dance classes or something. But we also have this very unique 1-year master's program. It's a master's in fine arts management. And your sophomore, junior year, you decide you want to enter this program. You start taking classes towards it your junior and senior year. And then you graduate with your BFA in musical theater. You go wherever you're going to go in the world. And then for the 5th year, it's completely online. And at the end of that year, you have a master's degree. So I think that's kind of unique. Because I'm sure Tim can speak to this too. Like, a lot of times I get juniors or seniors that come to me and say, I'm not sure that performing is like what I want to do. So we sort of then work with them and say, okay, what is it that you're interested in? And let's sort of try and start getting you classes in that, or bringing in guest artists that might help you. We have a wonderful alumni, Jenny Ravitz, who is a casting director for NBC, and she comes every year and talks to the kids about, her path. She thought she was when she entered, and then it sort of just went this way. So we really try and keep, I call it sort of choose your own adventure a little bit, So yeah, a lot of great opportunities there.
That's awesome. Our next question is going to be from, let's do this. James Shinfa from India asks, can you tell more about the dance program at your school for musical theater and how much dance matters into getting accepted?
One of the things that when I came 5 years ago was we did a whole curriculum restructure, and we actually just revisited it last year. We hired this wonderful woman, Shiloh Martinez, wonderful Broadway veteran, and she's the director of music theater dance. And it was very important to her to get the kids dancing pretty much every day. So at Shenandoah, you take a minimum of 2 dance classes a semester, a minimum, and you can use those extra credits, as I said, to take more. Ballet, tap, jazz, music theater styles, those are the core, but you can also take modern and hip hop, things like that. In terms of being accepted into the school, we're aware dance, I would say, for the majority of students is the thing that comes last. There are some wonderful, wonderful dancers. I think we look at potential. We look at kids, if you haven't had a lot of dance training in the dance club, that aren't giving up, that are asking the right questions, that are really trying. Obviously, if you're a great dancer, thumbs up to you. But I think we're looking more for potential. We're not expecting certain types to like leave here and go join American Ballet Theater. We want them to be able to be competitive for their type in an audition in New York City. But lots of dance opportunities, and our MTs can also be in the dance concerts if they wish.
It's so interesting to hear, another perspective, and we'll have to talk after this, Kevin. But yeah, I think for me, I have a lot of wonderful things to say about the dance. Again, this program has grown and kind of exploded. We're very, very, very fortunate because we're only about an hour from the city. A lot of our faculty have had maybe major careers. So we have Elizabeth Parkinson, who won the Drama Desk for Moving Out, Scott Wise, who won the Tony for Jerome Robbins Broadway, and Marianne Lamb, who has like 13 Broadway shows. And those are our yeah, I know. And so I get, so I work with them, I collaborate them, they choreograph when Scott and Elizabeth also directed for us. So so we have an A team as far as dance. We have now increased that, so they are dancing every day. It's all sequenced. So we started with ballet, then jazz, and modern, tap, and then music theater combo, so that they're learning auditions a la like an audition that you would have in New York City. So, but like Kevin, it usually is the lowest. However, when a person comes in, I'm looking at that, what the package is. So I kind of look at them like as a casting director. Who is going to be the easiest to market? Who is going to, what is that package? Does that package of what their skills or potential skills doesn't match who they are, and because that's part of the reality. And so we treat it like a company. So we have character people, we have ingenues, we have basically everyone, so that we can fulfill those production needs, but also serve them so that they're getting the best training that's going to match. So sometimes someone will come in with extraordinary dance ability, and I can tell that they have some vocal chops and acting potential. And it may be that we can see that package would go in the right direction. And then somebody comes in as a character guy, and they're a really great, funny actor, and got a great big booming voice, and they can move well. We'll teach them to dance, And there's been many times when somebody will go, okay, we'll teach them to act, because there's an it factor. And, that's what we're all we're having to discern in an audition, who has been ultra coached and who really has that it factor that may not have been as coached, but might have perhaps something that is going to be super marketable.
Here, Tim. I love what he's saying, and I think it's important that, we're looking for individuals, right? I'm not looking for cookie cutter, And just because I'm losing a 6'2" redheaded tenor guy doesn't mean I'm looking for another 6'2" redheaded tenor guy. I'm looking for, a melting pot of people.
Yeah.
Awesome. Can you guys talk a little about, this is also one of the most asked questions, about your tuition and if you guys offer financial aid and scholarships?
I'll start this time. So WestCon is kind of that is an easy sell for me, quite frankly. It's a state school, and it is for Connecticut, and we also have reciprocity for New York and New Jersey. So that means that they can come for in-state costs same as Connecticut. And that's about $26,000 a year total, 26, 27. If you're out of state, then you add another 11,000 onto that. But our costs are basically like half of what a lot of schools are. So we're very fortunate in that way. There are scholarships. There's an honors program. There's the presidential scholarship, which some of our students have gotten, which is basically pretty much a full ride with the exception of housing. So we do provide a lot of scholarships, and we're working to provide more talent scholarships. We have those a lot more for the upperclassmen. But we were working on a benefit, and that was postponed because of COVID. But we'll just keep on adding to that. But if you do the numbers, you get a huge bang for your buck.
Shenandoah is a conservatory housed inside of a private university. It is a little more expensive. Our tuition is, and I'm not going to get this number exactly right. Our tuition is around $30,000 a year, and then room and board on campus is about another $12,000. Much cheaper to live off campus once you're allowed to, because Winchester is not an expensive city. We do have a nice scholarship program. It's called a Conservatory Award, and everyone accepted into the music theater program gets a Conservatory Award, and it's based on both academics and talent. And we also have, very similar to Tim, we have a presidential scholarship that I would say at least 2 of our students a year get the presidential scholarship. So
that's awesome. Okay, our next question is from Harry Rutkowitz on Facebook. And they just want to know about if your school offers any graduate programs. I know that you talked about your 5-year master.
The grad programs at Shenandoah, we don't have any grad programs. We have the master's in performing and fine arts management. Any other grad program that what an MT would be interested in would be in voice. We don't have a directing master's or an acting master's.
And similar, there are a number of master's programs at Western Connecticut, but not currently for theater. There's discussion because of the facility and what that could offer in the close. We're definitely discussing it, but right now, not for theater. We're in the School for the Visual and Performing Arts, so there is an MBA or not an MBA, a master's for the art program. And there's also a master's for the business school and a number of other, and also with music, but not currently for theater.
Awesome. This question is from YouTube, and someone wants to know if you guys offer study abroad programs, and if so, where?
Your turn.
That's always the most popular question in these.
It really is,
right? Yeah. Yes, there are. What I usually tell people is that because it's so, and like Kevin's program, it's laid out there. Every single semester you have so much. So if you're on the 4-year plan, which I think for musical theater, it's a young person's business. You know, I got to enjoy it at one point, and now there's a logical progression. And so I think you want to try to be on that 4-year plan. And I think that becomes difficult to take a semester to do that. However, there are a number of classes. One of our professors, Dr. Don Gagnon, has led several, an American in Paris, and that was like 2 weeks toward the end of the semester. A number of programs like that, but specifically within the Department of Theater, it becomes a little dicey, but it's doable, and there are some programs within the university itself.
It's very similar to Tim. I think what's interesting, because I get this question more than any other question. You know, musical theater is a very, very American art form. I mean, it's one of the few things we get bragging rights to, right? I mean, we kind of created it. So I haven't found a program where I'm willing to like give up my student for an entire semester, because I don't want them to fall behind, you know. But so in lieu of that, we do a 2-week London theater trip in the summer. We call it a global learning experience trip or something like that. So it's 2 weeks in the summer. You go to London when shows are running, you see lots of shows, take classes over there. And then we've also been talking about because the university allows you to sort of do those trips anywhere. So we're thinking of actually music theater and costume design. We're thinking about doing one in Italy once the world gets back up and running again as well. So those sort of 2-week, month-long experiences, but nothing that's an entire semester.
Yeah, very, very similar. They're required to audition each semester and to perform as cast. And I just want to correct, Ethan said 3 shows a year. We do 6 main stage shows a year. And then also the student directed 1 acts. So so there's really not similar to Kevin's program.
Right. Yeah.
Gotcha. This next question is from John Neri on YouTube, and I'm going to phrase it in a way that's better for us on the live stream. What kind of advice would you give to students who are auditioning for your programs in terms of song choice, material, what to prepare to be in the room? I guess also just tips on how to not be nervous when you're in the room.
I think the most important thing, I'm going to say that, then I'm going to give you like 8 most important things. One of the most important things is I think you have to pick material you love, that you love. Not because your voice teacher loves it, or your mom loves it, or your acting teacher loves it, because you love it and you connect to it on some level. Because you have to remember, you're not auditioning for a show. You're not auditioning for a role. You're auditioning you. You know, so we want to see as much you as we can. I think there's nothing beats preparation, right? I mean, it's August. I think you should have those materials picked soon, if not already, you know. And then in the room, we work really hard at Shenandoah to try and make you feel as comfortable as possible. Like, I'm going to come out and meet you, and we're going to talk for a second before you come in the room. And like, you know, we're just trying to get you, because we want to see who you are. Because as Tim said earlier, you know, we gotta spend 4 years together, you know, like, so I just think that as much as you can be yourself and just leave it all on the floor, you know, just do your best. and then try and forget about it, which is really hard to do. As we know, as an old professional actor, I was like, every room I left in New York City, oh, why couldn't I have done this? But I think being yourself, selecting music you love, and preparation are key to me. I'm sure Tim has other.
Well, very, very similar, Kevin. My particular motto for the program is to be the best you. And that really is that there's a place for everybody in the business. You just have to figure out who that is and who you are, and then be willing to share that. Because as Kevin said, you're not auditioning for a role right now. You're auditioning. We want to know whether, we think that you have the packages right to possibly work in the business, but also it is a family at WestCon, as Ethan and Sasha mentioned. We may be a dysfunctional family sometimes, but we are a family, and we look out for each other, and we have each other's back. And if I'm going to work that closely, I teach acting for the acting majors as well as music theater. But if I'm going to work that closely with people, I want to know that they're going to be people that I want to have a discussion with. It's not about Hello Dolly or Parade or whatever, that we can that they're going to be good peeps, and that we're going to be contributing company members. And so yes, I want to see them. And I want to see, yes, I agree with all of that prep. You have to prep. You have to prep so that you can let go in the room. And that is the hardest thing. And that's what we're all striving for. But that's really similar. I want to see you, and I want you to just, make a bold choice, do something that may not feel completely safe. I usually work, the people that I'm interested, I usually work with them in the audition afterwards. Even if I loved what they did, I want to see how they take adjustment, what they're like. Are their walls up? Are they open? Are they eager? And then I just chat them up, just like Kevin. I chat them up,
Yeah.
Do I want to hang out with them? Are they good energy?
Yeah, I think, I used to have a mantra in New York City, and I sort of tell it to my students, what I think some people don't realize, and when they get nervous for auditions, it's like, well, we're having the audition for a reason, right? I mean, not just because we want to spend 8 hours there. We want students to come to our school, right? So I used to have this 3-word mantra when I auditioned in New York that I would say before I walked in the audition room, and it was, why not me? Why not me today? I mean, they've got to pick somebody. Why should it be me? So I think if you go into the room with that, like, here I am, like, it's gonna take you far.
That's awesome. My final question for you guys is, if you had to give one reason why students should come to your school, what would it be?
One?
I have to make it hard, or else it's not fun.
Well, I think that is a tough one. It's just like when we're choosing them, it's the package. And I think, with WestCon, I think it's also the package of what you're getting. So
it's like Sophie's choice.
Choose us because of because it's inclusive, and the range of an education, and the way we're preparing. That's not answer. That's more than one thing.
Like, you made it one answer by including it in the package. So I'll give it to you.
Okay. So for me, it's the close vicinity to New York City. So you get all of those options that if you want to take the train in, it's just a little over an hour to go in and see a Broadway show, to keep connected, to audition, which we encourage them to. That last semester, they get to just go and they have less semester hours, and with the showcase and with the master classes and so forth, they can start to transition into the business. And our brand new $98 million facility doesn't hurt. The faculty that we've all had significant careers, so we're able to speak with authority, and to continue to try to follow the trends if we're not currently auditioning. and the full range of learning the whole craft of theater, not just performance. There.
No, I have to follow that. No. I'm going to say, you want to come to Shenandoah for our unbelievably incredible faculty who also have had amazing Broadway careers and our industry connection, but also for the care, right? I mean, mental health is super important to us. We not only want to, the goal by the time you graduate Shenandoah is that you should be competitive in whatever market you're entering, whether it be New York or DC or Chicago, but we also want to send great people out into the world. So that's very important to us, great citizens of the world. So, you know, this amazing education compared with learning life skills to help you in the future.
Perfect. Well, Kevin, thank you so much for joining me today. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me. And Tim,
Yeah.
it's so great to see you. And
Yeah,
you're just
great
doing
to see you,
amazing things
Kevin.
there. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Right back at you. I've admired your program for so long. So
Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you, Johnny.
As you guys start the school year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Fingers crossed. See you soon.
Come on, guys. Stay safe.
Bye-bye.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today. Join us again on Monday at 1 o'clock, where we'll be talking to Michael Grief. And then on Wednesday, we'll be talking to Artistic Director at Perrineau Playhouse, Mark Hobie. I hope everybody has a safe and wonderful weekend.